Hello, I'm Kenny Carroll, driver of the number 94 Street Stock at Lucas Oil Speedway. We're coming to you guys this week, and we're going to tell you about some of the happenings at Lucas Oil Speedway last week. We had a good time. It was a 2-day show right out of the box, which is hard on a lot of us people that lay around and get fat and lazy over the weekend. Before we started racing, we had to come in with some new rules this week. So Josh is going to tell us about the rules because I don't pay much attention.
I'm Josh Franklin, chassis builder at Josh Franklin Motorsports. What all did we change over the year?
We didn't change nothing to this car here, but the new car and the new rules allow us to have outboard shocks, outboard springs, a little more similar to the Neesmith area cars. We went to a 2-barrel killer, but that's part of life. It's part of getting along. We can have a little bit lighter for 3,000 pounds. We can notch the frame for shock clearance. That's the topic of interest.
Yep. Basically what happened, sometime, I don't know if it was January, Batesville was looking for a way to bring in the Neesmith cars to run at their track. So basically they opened up their rules package to weight jacks, outboard shocks, changed the body rules up a little bit. So shortly after that, I think it was Tri-State and a couple of the other tracks kind of went that same direction. Taking a look and realizing that Fulton, Double X Speedway, California, maybe Moberly, some of those other tracks were already weight jack tracks. CMS, Warrensburg. Lucas decided to go ahead and open our rules up also to kind of, to work along with those other tracks as well. So, which seemed like something kind of simple turned into a pretty elaborate and dramatic off-season for a lot of the builders and racers. And
a lot of the reasons people are pulled to this class is our rules for this class have stayed the same for so long. Therefore, you can invest time, money, and effort into your car and race it for several years. Well, the reason our class was pretty basic was, I always believe it goes with less rules, less drama. But we do have more rules now. So if we can get that bitter pill swallowed, I do think that it'll be better off for all. Because basically, from us all the way to Texas, we can almost race the same rules. Especially if you had a crate motor sitting in the corner.
Yeah.
There's no reason you couldn't burn it up 2 or 3 nights a week. Wouldn't be no big deal. So that's kind of the changes there. We got a deck height rule still at Batesville. West Plains is a little finicky about some stuff. It sounds like they might let some of us go down there with some added weight. But it's just like always, the real rules are what they tech that day. So we're going to let them get through that and see how that all goes. We'd love to go to West Plains. That's a very fast track and a fun track. We're kind of blessed that Lucas Oil built the track where they built it, and we're spoiled by that. So some of them other guys need to step their pits up just a tick if you've got a big, long truck or trailer. But that's part of life. But other than that, anything else you want to add to what we've changed?
We haven't changed much, like Kenny said. We kind of stepped back. We went ahead and put a set of weight jacks in the new car and relocated the shocks, but kind of just taking a step back and see how crazy things get and try not to get the cart ahead of the horse. So,
the idea, we're not doing this for a living. So the idea is for it to always be fun.
I kinda am.
Yeah, well, failure.
Failure.
But anyway, we have a really, really good time at the track and doing it. And there's no reason our classes can't have the same kind of exposure that the late model guys do. It's anybody that wants to go big time in the street stock racing, just look at what the late model guys do. It's not that hard. It's not that tough. So we don't. There's enough stress in life. Let's don't make racing one of them.
My big deal on the street stock class is not just in circle track racing, but if you look at drag racing and other forms of racing, there's a certain an air, a charisma, or something that goes with stock body vehicles that people recognize. If you look at other programs throughout history and, like drag racing and Pink's All Out, Street Outlaws type stuff.
Started that whole deal.
That there's such a fan following there, and there's such, enthusiasm and excitement for those kind of cars. I see the same thing in our class, with dirt street stock, higher end street stock stuff. We're not talking bombers, knock the window out, and that kind of stuff. But,
and a lot of people don't, the respect angle of it. It's pretty simple. These are high end cars. They're more, like you said, more than just the window knocked out of it. They're a real thing, and they can really go places. There's nothing you can't do. The USMTS really has some cool things going. All their videos and shows really do go in deep with the driver, and that's really cool. But the car is kind of always treated as a tool. And I've always said that a street stock, a true Lucas Oil street stock, kind of has a soul or a personality. They're not just a tool that gets used up and thrown away. So I think that's what separates a street stock guy from a late model or a modified guy, not disrespecting them at all. But our tools is all we got, and we do the best we can with them.
Yeah, the cars do tend to take on a little bit more of a personal persona for the equipment itself.
Correct.
Versus some of the other classes. I feel like now, I'm sure that's not not the case in every situation, but that's the way I see it.
Well, I think we're going to take a pee break, and then we'll come back here in a minute, and we'll talk about all the happenings last week at the track.
No, we've been racing right at 20 years now, and I've run pretty much late models, sprint cars, modifieds, and now I'm back in street stocks just because of the cost. It's a little cheaper to run these and everything else, but been racing Lake Ozark, Holt Summit, California, pretty much every track in mid-Missouri. Lucas just heck of a place, so we're going to try it one more year down here, and there's some good competition and good drivers, good cars down here, so kind of put out a good effort this year and see how we can do. It's just got real competitive over the last 5 years in this class, and if you can come down here and run good in a street stock or factory stock, you've done pretty well for yourself. So it's just kind of a challenge to run down here. It's an hour drive from the house, but we ran 2 tracks last year. We ran California on Sunday night and we ran here on Saturday night, and we won the championship at California, but running 2 nights a week just pretty much broke me, so we're going to just stick with 1 night a week, Saturday here, and see how we can do in the points this year. A lot of the guys that I race with have all raced in the higher classes and have, spent a lot of money doing it. Like Dave Hendricks, he's a really good modified racer. He's stepped back and has raced street stocks now. But these old cars, we can't do a whole lot to them, but we're getting them figured out, where they're fun to race. They used to, let's say 10 years ago, they were pretty hard car to make go fast, but to keep them within the rules, and we're figuring out shocks, figuring out springs, and what we can change to make these cars work, and they're actually a pretty fun car to race now. They're not the old bombers from back in the day when you just knocked the glass out of it and put some old street tires on it and headers, went and race it. These are actually, for a street car, a pretty nice race car. Yeah, I raced on the very first race they had here, and it was at Wheatland Raceway. The track's pretty much the same spot, but pits were dirt. You can't hardly rain this place out because everything's paved. The only dirt on the place is the actual racetrack. And people that haven't been here, they've never been to a dirt racetrack. When you pull up here, you think you're at a NASCAR race, paved pits and the Musco lights and the big scoreboard. And it's just Forrest Lucas and Dan Robinson, I mean, they the nicest dirt track in the country by far. You know, I mean, the camping, hot showers, bathrooms, the drag boat lake. You know, I mean, everything's mowed, manicured. You know, it's a hell of a nice place. I mean, and every year something different. You know, they pour more concrete someplace. They're putting in the off-road track. You know, I wouldn't doubt in 5 years see a drag strip out here. So come out here to this small town in Wheatland and get to go drag boat racing, stock car racing, off-road truck racing. You know, it's the center hub for motorsports out here if you like dirt.
You guys just seen a little excerpt from Steve Beach, a little interview last week. That's kind of funny. He started and does real good up around the California area and raced the XX Speedway. Actually won the championship there last year. It is a really cute little track. On Sunday nights, they let you carry coolers in, and they pack the place. It was actually where all this mess got started. Josh Franklin decided he was
for
going
us. Yeah.
For us, that's where he wanted to go, and we were 15, 16, and nobody told us no. So tell us about that. For 2 nights? Was it a 2-night career?
It was 2 nights, 2 weeks, 1 night. Yeah, and we were a little older than 15, 16. We just graduated.
Had we?
But
whatever.
You know, who's counting?
Whatever.
Yeah, basically I had answered the ad in the paper looking for fireworks for some New Year's party we were going to have, and when I showed up, this guy had a stock car in the yard for sale. And
you think impulse buying at Walmart?
Nah, not me. Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of an impulse buy. Next thing you know, I come dragging home this car, and we went to, who was the salvage yard guy in Buffalo?
Johnny Reagan, Killer Reagan.
No, that's Climax Springs. Oh, shoot. I know who you're talking about.
I thought that's where we went.
No,
okay.
It was
Anyway.
Buffalo. But anyway, had a $500 305, brought it home, dropped her in. She was pretty sweet.
Took the refrigerator door skin off and made a door skin out of
the refrigerator. And
Mike Miser's short bed Chevy pulled my dad's hay trailer all the way to California. It's a wonder we even made it there alive.
Yep. So, but we got there, and another California standout, Dale Berry. I remember we pitted by him our very first night. And
remember we seen duct tape around Leaf Springs and was like, that's really tricky.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, duct tape Leaf Springs. That was something we wrote in our notebook. You know. So it was good. We didn't do very well, but
blind leading the blind, but you only get one first, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time.
So back on to Lucas Oil happenings this week. Friday night, the track was really hooked up. They had a lot of cars, and it was cold. It was cold all night long. They had a lot of cars, and the track just never really got very slick. Believe it or not, it did not get rough or have ruts or holes. I don't know what kind of magic juice they put in the water this week, but the track was really fast. They reconfigured the track just a tick, and it's a little bit lower in the middle. They kind of cut the center out of it. So the corners are just a little bit different. We had some old-time guys that raced with us in the past was back in brand new equipment, and it was nice. Derek Brown actually pulled off the win pretty well, worked them over all night. He had it going on. Number 11, Derek Brown. Stoutland Burl Woods was second. Burl moved over to a Tony Jackson car this year as well from his own cars. Burl's going to be a contender all year long. He always is. It depends on if he stays or travels as to what he's going to do points-wise. But Tim Brown brought it home third.
That'd be third.
Okay. Why does it have a 7 there?
That's where he started.
Okay.
Started 7th, came home third.
Tim Brown was next in a car that he did really, really well with over the winter. He won the Big Buck, no, not the Big Buck 50, but he won the 10,000 at Batesville and then won the Spring Batesville.
Both nights.
And then going away. And then he's always fast. He's actually raced longer than us. My second race car came from him. So the Chevelle, he won the points with it, I-44 on pavement. But he's done real good. Why'd you go so far? I can't see that one. David Hendricks got fourth. There you go. I saved you.
Hendo got fourth.
Hendricks got fourth in the new Rippin' race car.
Good looking car.
Very good looking car. The orange really looks good. Are we supporting the Hendricks movement?
This is my Daddy Jean shirt.
Daddy Jean shirt, yeah. If you don't know, Dave's dad is his signal guy up in the grandstands, and he always wears an orange shirt so you can pick him out on the way by. We always say we're going to pay 4 or 5 people to stand up there in orange shirts and just be given sign language. But Johnny Coates brought it in 5th. He's raced with us for a long time from Joplin. Always does real good. I made it to 6th somehow. Finally, they threw the checkered flag and I quit going backwards. But it was a good time. James Flood, a guy I've raced with for a long time. In 2009, we won the points by 1 point over this guy. He's a good dude. He brought her in there next. Steve Beach, 8th. Chip Shattuck's 9th, he was 2nd in points last year behind me, 50 points behind. Got a good-looking new paint job, new paint scheme as well. Looking good. Next is Toby Ott. Toby has been around forever, and his brother's raced forever. His same old car, for him to bring it in at number 10th with everybody stepping up, that was really quite the deal. Like I said, it was really cold that night.
It's cold, fast, but smooth.
It was smooth. Smooth. They raced modifieds and late models, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think it was a big show, but then...
not too much carnage. Usually, a lot of times, we
had
a little bit. Well, Bodine had a little bit of carnage, but
yeah,
compared to some nights I've seen, most everybody did a pretty good job.
Honestly, there's 20 some of us that race there pretty regular, and to have a hooked up wheelie pulling track like that and not have any more carnage than we had is a testament to everybody that races that class at Lucas Oil Speedway. You
would think a track with more grip would make for easier racing with less wrecks, but that isn't the way it goes.
Well, everybody goes alpha male whenever they can get some traction.
Everybody goes alpha male. It's a stab and steer. The guy who's got the biggest set and can drive it in the furthest. Right. And usually the lanes narrow up from being a 3 or 4 lane track down to 2.5. Yeah. It's that half that really screws with people. So.
And if you got that mentality that I am not going to be the second one into that corner, that's usually where carnage starts. Anything else on Friday night?
Nothing on Friday.
Billy Moyer did win the late models.
Yeah, Billy Moyer won late models. Mitchell, who won mods Friday?
Somebody won mods, promise.
The fastest guy there that
night won the mods.
So
moving on to Saturday night.
Cue Mitchell.
This is where you hit that.
This is where you. We're
Good
there.
job. Saturday night, it was a little bit warmer. The track was just what we were asking for. It was slick, just right. We couldn't. The only thing we could have been better if we'd have been after the late models. That would have been a little slicker yet, but we probably wouldn't have finished as good.
Probably not.
But anyway, we'll get there. I was just looking for some track time. Like I said, the track was really good. So there was a couple cancellations in other late models tracks around, so we had a bunch more late models come. Because I seen 108 cars were in the pit Saturday nights.
Gotcha.
Which is pretty good for just 3 classes.
Right.
I think they had B's and everything but us, and we. I went out in my
field.
Yeah, we went out. I started in my heat race next to Prevette. Everything was going really good and cut the right rear off of it about halfway through the deal. Therefore, I started dead last in the feature. So I had a lot of ground to make up. That's usually fun in the old days when you start dead last. You could pass 5 or 6 cars in the first couple laps, but them days are gone. There is no one slow at Lucas Oil now. So every car took a couple laps, and I think I was happily finished off 8th. Josh, what's the rundown?
Well, Burl and Derek swapped positions from Friday night. Burl takes the win. Had a pretty good lead on Derek there.
I wouldn't know. I didn't get to see none of that.
I was glancing over, and it looked like he was doing pretty good. Running very smooth lines. Those cars are definitely on a rail right now. Derek got 2nd. Hendricks came in 3rd. Then we had Flood came in 4th, which is for somebody who's been out of the class.
How long has it been?
It's been a while. Mm-hmm. Was it when did? Was it since
11?
Was he still there for 10? Mm-hmm. Was it? Okay.
It was in red and white car.
Gotcha. Anyway, it's been several years, so I think he was doing some, was it B-Mod or Midwest Mod
Just
stuff?
a little. I don't think much.
Springfield, but anyway.
For him just to show back up. He
to show right back up and jump right in the tech shed. That's something a lot of guys would love to be able to accomplish. So anyway, he brings it in fourth. Steve Beach makes tech shed. That's good.
Very good. New car.
New car, yeah. For somebody that 2 months ago it was sitting there as a bare frame and cage.
Was missing some bars.
Missing bars and all that stuff makes me look real bad.
Yeah.
I can't get one done in 6 months. Mark Simon driving Sean Whitman's old 13 car, now happily numbered the 123M. He finished 6th. Chip in the one car finished 7th, and then old Wheelie Popper finished 8th. We didn't pop wheelies Saturday night though.
Not as bad.
Well, in the heat we did.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We're working on it.
We'll get there.
We're going to grow as a team this year. So, ninth was Toby Ott, improving his position from the night before by 1. And Mark Carter coming home 10th in the 10 seed.
Carter set out the entire year last year, didn't he? Sell his ride in the beginning of the year? Was he there at all?
I think he made a couple nights, but we didn't see a whole lot of him.
Yeah.
So anyway, always good to have Mark back.
Yeah, good clean racer. You can run tight to Mark. You don't have to give him more than a half inch. That's all he needs.
Yep.
So all in all, I think everybody was really satisfied with the track's performance. First weekend off, they always start us at 2 in a row, and that is tough when you're rusty. I think there was no major deals in the tech shed or the help or anything like that I heard about. So
I don't think so.
Hats off to all that. I spent the night there Saturday night, and Sunday morning. The crew they have just to pick the trash up there was impressive.
Gotcha.
I mean, that was talk about a job that would not be fun. The amount of trash that is, and the wind was blowing 100 miles an hour, and it was all stuck in the chain link fence, and that's quite the deal. The things you wouldn't think about that they have to supply is incredible.
Old Kinderhook Golf Resort is the Lake of the Ozarks' premier golf destination. The new 84-room lodge and 250-person conference facility is the perfect backdrop for the Tom Weiss Cup's signature championship golf course, along with our seasonal ice rink, sand volleyball courts, award-winning dining, and our new state-of-the-art spa. Old Kinderhook is a luxurious lakefront gated community and the place to call home at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit our real estate team or oldkinderhook.com. Old Kinderhook, the lake the way it's meant to be.
Okay, so I'm going to take a minute and talk a little tech. For you guys out there that might be watching that are not real familiar with some of the technical terms we might use on a regular basis, I figured I'd take one thing each week, maybe kind of go over it a little bit, describe it, and how it relates to our racing. So this week I'm going to talk about bite. If you hear any of the guys in the pit talking about how much bite you're running on their setup, what that is the weight, the static weight of the car as it relates to in terms of the right rear tire versus the left rear tire. Typically when you're going around the track, we're turning to the left all the time. Well, there's different theories as far as which tire to load to make the car go forward better. Most people run a higher bite number in the left side. We'll just use the example of when this thing is sitting on the scales. If this tire weighs 800 pounds and this tire weighs 1,000 pounds, then we have 200 pounds of left rear bite. The way that we will adjust that, well, there's a lot of ways you can adjust it. You can do it by physically moving lead in the car, but most of the time, once we get the car set close to where we want it, we make our fine-tune adjustments at the track with these shims that we can place under the left or the right-hand side. Or now this year, actually, we're allowed weight jacks, which is a threaded screw at the top of the spring that we can adjust on, sort of like what you see guys doing in NASCAR and stuff like that. As far as the theory, there's a lot of different theories. Some guys want a lot of left rear bite. I think the highest left rear bite numbers that I personally know of people running is about 350 to 400 pounds. Typically, you'll have some guys that prefer a lot lower numbers than that. This past weekend, I heard people running numbers as low as 50 pounds back there. Sometimes in other types of cars, you'll hear of guys running right rear bite. You know, they might run 50 pounds of right rear into things. So again, your setup, your springs, your shocks, your ballast, the way it's set in the car, and the track conditions, the kind of track you're running on, the track conditions, driver preference, everything plays a part in that. But if you hear drivers talking about bite in their car, what they're talking about is the weight of the tire on the right versus the left.
All right, we're back. Well, Sean Kober, our media guru of Big Planet Media, has put us on live on Facebook, and we've come up with a few questions. In the future, if you want to get involved in this, we'll take the first few questions and see what we can do with it. But look up Sean Kober on Facebook, or Big Planet Media probably do it as well. One of the questions we had is, what's our wheelbase rule at Lucas Oil Speedway? Now it's 101 inch, plus or minus 1 inch.
That's right, 101 inch minimum, plus or minus an inch. Wheelbase must match the actual frame of the car. So depending on what the make of the car is.
I don't think you can have the 99 inch Mustangs, can you?
Not here.
Yep.
No, 101 is a minimum. Most of the cars that you see out there that look like the Monte Carlos and stuff, those are going to be 108 inch cars, plus or minus an inch.
Mm-hmm. Sit on that corner.
Yeah, sit on that corner. You know, turn the wheels to the right.
Yeah.
When we get in there,
Yeah.
But no, you know, we have a wheelbase rule. Just there's some things you can do to the rear end to help the car steer or to be tight. So they just kind of keep that in check. That's why we get the plus or minus an inch. A little bit of a variance for cars that have been in big crashes. You know, sometimes when you pull them out, they don't come quite back where they were. But,
and to be honest, they're not exactly squared in.
No. Yeah, GM tolerances from the factory were very poor anyway. So
one of
that
our
pretty well covers that.
They're big on the body matching the chassis. So you cannot use a 67 Chevelle and put a 85 Monte body on it. That's a big no-no. Even if you want to work in the gray area and leave the Chevelle tail and just try to keep a Chevelle front, why go down that road? Just leave it right. Make it the right body on the right chassis. One of our next questions is, when is Josh Franklin coming off-roading again?
Good question. If anybody has an answer for that, that would be great. No, actually, I'm trying to get Kenny Carroll to come off-road. And he doesn't like to get too far from the house, but I keep telling him if he'll come up to Crandon sometime, he'll make it a yearly trip. So now, 2017, Lucas announced a dedicated off-road facility. From what we heard, it's going to be dedicated to the point that it has its own grandstands, own concessions, bathrooms, and so forth.
6,600 feet?
So something like that. Big track. We kind of got a little bit of a rundown on it. I don't know how much we were supposed to say or not, but it's going to be cool. It's going to have a feature that has not been attempted in the short course realm as of yet, at least for a permanent track.
So you're saying that off-roading's coming to you?
Yeah, off-roading's coming to me. So depending on how things go, they're wanting to use the facility more than just twice a year. Whenever they have the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series, so that's going to open up the opportunities for some grassroots type deal, whether it be UTVs, buggies, I don't know.
Motocross, possibly?
Maybe. I think he said his phone's been burning up since they announced it. But anyway, off-road is coming, which is good because probably an equal love of mine to circle track racing is short course off-road. So that makes me a very happy guy.
One of our other questions was, do we have a cubic inch limit? At Lucas Oil Speedway, our basic rules are, if it's cast iron, it's legal. We have to have a 2-barrel now. So if you got a 500 Holly, it'll pass tech, you can have aluminum intake of any design you want. From there down, if it's cast iron, it's legal. Mine's started life as a 421, and with age, it's got bigger.
But as far as cubic inch rule, really no cubic inch rule.
It's got to stay together.
Just got to fit in a small block, I guess.
Small block.
I don't know. Could we have a big block?
They used to have them in Batesville. It's a cool idea.
I don't know. I don't know if you'd ever get it to turn. But anyway.
We ain't going to fight that fight either.
No cubic inch limit. So.
The deck height rule. Lucas Oil Speedway, you can have 43-inch deck height. a lot of the places in Batesville and down south went with a 40-inch deck height.
Correct.
I don't have no idea why they did that. It's just their prerogative to make that rule. We can get there. You just got to change a few things. I think they were afraid of our spoilers getting up in the air and causing a little more deal. I went to Batesville with no spoiler at all, and I honestly couldn't feel that much difference. So that's a fight that
It's
nobody
probably
ever win.
us car builders' fault because we're always trying to
Stretch it, and they got pretty tall back there for a while.
You know, sometimes you just eyeball it and go. You don't really measure, but
No, just make it look good. Whatever's good to the eye is good to everybody.
Neesmith was at 40. I think that played a big part.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Neesmith has been at 40 for a while, and I think when a lot of them guys were looking, you know,
Something to compare to.
right, something to compare to. That's kind of what they went off of. When Lucas determined theirs, they went around. Oh, it's been last year or 2 years ago. 2 years ago. They went around to everybody's car in the pit, measured, tried to see where everybody was at, took an average.
Which they've been relatively good about that in all their teching, really.
Yeah, trying to see where most everybody's at and make a fair decision based off of that. So,
well, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope this turns into something. It's just kind of a Hail Mary pass to see how it turns out. So we'll see you next time.